Welcome to the Mudcat Report, community news, politics, and culture with a local twist. Here's your host, owner and publisher of the Gazebo Gazette, Hunter Dawkins.
My name is Hunter Dawkins, the host of the Mudcat Report. This is the 25th episode of Mississippi Gulf Coast Community News Podcast, sponsored by the Gazebo Gazette, Harrison County's independent newspaper, the Beau Rivage Resort and Casino in Biloxi, Nine Toes Brewing Company in Pass Christian, O'Dwyer Realty Agent Stephanie Mankiewicz, Joseph Kelly, Attorney at Law, Coast Casual in Pass Christian, the Insurance Barn in Gulfport, the Mississippi Deep Sea Fishing Rodeo, which will happen the July 4th weekend, and we're always in the U.S. Marine Inc. studio in Gulfport. I'm here with my wonderful producer of the show, and he will see next weekend the award-winning Jeff Clark. Jeff Clark is a well-accomplished, and we will get our awards next week, award-winning journalist and the director of the Harrison County Senior Services. Jeff, how are you, my friend?
I'm well, Hunter. You know, I also still do public information stuff for the county. And as we're taping this episode on the day that the remnants of Tropical Storm Arthur just flooded the coast like crazy. Like it was a wild day, you know.
Jeff, our theme for the day is hurricane season. Seeing that we live in Hurricane Alley on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, we are a little bit late starting off the season, which is June the 1st. Today, the squalls from Tropical Storm Arthur welcomed us to the 2006 hurricane season.
With arms wide open, just like the Creed song.
Give me your thoughts about this.
You know, it was a rain event, a lot of flooding. Like I saw that parts of Louisiana got 30 inches of rain. You know, it was an all day thing. And then it got pretty intense this afternoon. We were all without power for a while, without this or that. But, you know, our cities, counties did all the stuff to get everyone together. It was really good. You know, the response was good. Let me say that. I think, I know you have some great guests today. Both of them could give a lot of insight to it. I think, Chief Sullivan had a very active day, a very interesting day, you know, but it's we're in what is it, like an El Nino? Is that what we're in now? So it could be like this all summer long, wet, and hot, you know.
That's right. And we'll leave our guests up with that information.
Absolutely.
I definitely want to hear it, and we'll get to it.
All right. And we'll go and be right back after our first commercial break. So stay tuned.
Looking for effortless style on the coast? Discover Coast Casual in the Pass, your locally owned men's and boys' boutique. Coast Casual offers a mix of coastal and southern-inspired clothing, accessories, and gifts.
The Gazebo Gazette is Harrison County's only independent newspaper, publishing news from Gulfport to Bay St. Louis every Friday. Hi, this is Hunter Dawkins, owner of the Gazebo Gazette. If you're looking for local news without the hassle of sorting through story after digital story, log on to thegazebogazette.com.
Nine Toes Brewing Company is a Gulf Coast destination for craft beer, great food, and interactive entertainment. Enjoy a rotating selection of small batch brews, a menu of comfort food favorites, and state-of-the-art golf simulators featuring world-famous courses.
All right. I would love to introduce my first guest, a man that is ready for anything and everything this hurricane season, the director of Harrison County Emergency Management, Matt Stratton. How are you after this wake-up call from Arthur, Matt?
Well, it's been an interesting few days. We've set some records here with the flooding in Harrison County, and so we still have flood warnings in effect, and we're continuing our emergency response. But our first activation for hurricane season 2026 is in the books.
Matt, now if you're a resident of Harrison County and the Mississippi Gulf Coast that recently moved into town, Walk me through. Give me some of your main preparations that you need during this time of year or during the upcoming hurricane season.
Yeah, you bring up a great point that we have a diverse number of community members here in Harrison County. We've got large military installations. We've got people moving here for jobs frequently. We've got always people coming and going, and even guests coming to town who may not be familiar with some of our local threats and hazards that we have here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And so I think the first thing would just be, to become aware of what some of the local hazards are that we face here on the coast. We've got our severe weather seasons, usually in the spring and the fall. We have the hurricane season for a good part of the summer into early fall. And it sounds strange, but we've had the last 2 years in the wintertime some pretty significant winter storms here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And so whether it is, this season or that, just becoming aware with some of our local hazards. And we've got a lot of good information about that on our Harrison County website under the emergency management page.
Matt, this may be an unpopular question, and, I'm not necessarily sure because of your expertise in another field, but do you believe this greater development of these storms the last 10, 15, 20 years are a lot due to climate change?
Well, that's something that a lot of people proposed, and I know that a lot of people have concerns about, right? So we've only got one Earth. We don't have any spares that we can change over to. And so we want to take good care of it, be good stewards of what's entrusted to us for our time on this earth. I do think that, we want to look backward at our history. We know we have a history of, damaging events here on the coast. You think back to the hurricane of 1947. You think back to Hurricane Camille in 1969. You think back, of course, to Katrina in 2005. And there's other events along the way as well. But those are really major milestones. And, the thing to remember is that as bad as some of those were, they really are not the worst case situation. And so that is the challenge to us, is what do we do with the time entrusted to us now to make sure that we and our loved ones are ready for what may come our way?
Matt, how do people look into the projections or upcoming forecast? Is there a phone development, a computer service? What message, are you trying to put out to the residents of Harrison County? And I'll ask you another quick one after that.
Okay. There's really, I think, three main things that we really emphasize in a lot of our engagements with the public. Three things that I would recommend as a resident of the Gulf Coast myself that I would want my family to do, to do things to be prepared. And those three things are, first, to update your household emergency plan. Each family is unique. Each of us have our own special circumstances. What I might need for my family is not really. Take some time to sit down with your household members and talk about what is your plan, where your safe place that you're going to go in a particular emergency situation. Not all of us have family across town that we can go to. So you have to put some thought into, what is my individual household plan for emergencies? The second thing is, we need to have an emergency supply kit. And I think looking back to COVID really taught us that, when we are in an emergency situation, that is not the time to scramble and get the things that we need to get us through until we can go back to the store to buy some more, or we go out to, the restaurants or whatever to get the food that we're used to. Your emergency supply kit, again, is specific to you and your needs. And so that's going to be your 3 to 5 days of emergency supplies that will get you and your household through. And we have a lot of good information on the county website about things to consider in your emergency supply kit. We want to make sure everybody has water, that you have non-perishable food. You've got other items that you're going to need to get you through. But those emergency supplies don't stay good forever. You really need to refresh them, make sure that the batteries in there are still holding a charge, and that things haven't expired. And so that's the second thing, is updating those emergency supplies, refresh your kit. And then finally, is to set your devices to receive alerts. And through the wonders of modern technology, we're all carrying these smartphones now, and that's a good thing. But we can accidentally we can be overloaded with information, and sometimes we'll start turning off notifications, and we're trying to reduce our interruptions. We can actually turn off our emergency alerts without even really realizing it. And so going into your settings, checking to make sure that you haven't accidentally turned off your emergency alerts. Those are sent to you at no cost by the government, and they let you know when there is a life-threatening danger approaching you, whether that's a hurricane, whether that's a tornado, maybe it's flash flooding where there is a threat to life safety, making sure that your notifications are still coming through. You can also sign up for your local jurisdiction's emergency alerts. So here in Harrison County, we provide the free Harco alert system, and people can subscribe to that at no cost. We'll update them as the emergency situation changes, so they have the best information to make decisions for them and their loved ones.
Now, I know this is a loaded question, and your answer might be different than the next guest, but do you think with all of the resources that we've had, the technology, the updating of technology, do you believe the Gulf Coast could withstand another Hurricane Katrina?
Well, we've certainly learned a lot from our Hurricane Katrina experiences, and whether it is in the communication sector or with building more resilience into our networks, or whether it is on the government side, building more resilient infrastructure, our water systems, and so forth. Maybe in the private sector, the electrical companies and the power distribution, and trying to diversify so that there's alternate means to get electricity when maybe we've got stresses because of a emergency situation. Those investments have happened and they're ongoing, but I think at the same time we've also got increased vulnerability now. There's more people living here than there ever were before. People are coming here because of opportunities, but more people means more people in the potential risk area. And so we've also got greater reliance on technology now than we used to. You think about, at the time of Katrina, we weren't all doing online banking. We weren't all doing a lot of things on our phones that we do now today. And so the technology is good, but we need to make sure we have backup methods and alternate means that if the technology is not there, we can still do what we need to do.
Matt, how do people contact you or the county for updated information during natural disasters and, predictions and forecasts?
Right. So our emergency management office in Harrison County is open Monday through Fridays during normal business hours, and we have on-call people over nights and weekends who can respond quickly if there is some situation. Anytime they call our local office number, you will get through to somebody who will be there to answer questions or get folks help that they need. That is true throughout most of our local jurisdictions, whether it is Harrison County or another county or some other adjoining jurisdiction. There is somebody here who cares about their citizens and wants to help. And so the first thing is just reaching out and letting us know that you have a need. We can't help if we don't know what's going on. And so I would encourage people to get to know their local emergency management office and build relationships. We have a lot of opportunities for doing community engagement and delivering presentations or seminars or workshops or even training. We have a great 5-day class called the Community Emergency Response Training, or CERT, CERT. And that's a great class that is free of charge, that is taught in many of our local jurisdictions.
We thank you, sir. And the number to the county EOC is 228-865-4200. Am I correct on that?
So our emergency management office number is 228-865-4002. And yes, we are here to help. And so it's better if we can help when there's not the pressure of time in an emergency. So get to know your local emergency management office in whatever county, and build those relationships on the blue sky days. That'll help us all work together as a community on the gray sky days.
We thank you, my friend. Take care of yourself.
All right. Thank you.
Looking for insurance coverage you can count on? Call the Insurance Barn, a professional agency since 1959. The Insurance Barn writes all-in-one policies and offers coverage for homeowners, fire, flood, commercial property, auto, boats, motorcycles, plus wind and hail protection.
Looking for trusted legal guidance on the Mississippi Gulf Coast? Joseph Kelly, attorney at law, has been serving the coast since 1993, helping families protect what matters most. From estate planning to securing your legacy, Joseph Kelly provides experienced, personalized legal services designed around your unique needs.
Join us July 2nd to 5th at Jones Park in Gulfport for the 78th Annual Mississippi Deep Sea Fishing Rodeo, a Gulf Coast tradition filled with fishing, food, family fun, and live entertainment.
To introduce my final guest, the Harrison County Fire Chief, Pat Sullivan. Pat, how are you today, my friend?
Busy. Very, very, very busy.
Yep, that certainly is. As we've had already the first part of the season, a natural disaster, which is what we're talking about, hurricane season. Pat, what's the first step that people need to avoid when a disaster is on the horizon?
Do nothing. Doing nothing. That's the first step to avoid. Your question was, what do you not want them to do? And you don't want them to do. You don't want them to be head in the sand and not being prepared. So, absolutely, they need to be prepared. But if they do nothing and think everything's going to be okay, that's a problem.
Sure. If you live in a low-lying area that's open to flooding, what can you do to minimize or stop any damage?
Well, the very first thing to know is, do you live in a flood zone? Know what the flood zone maps are. Harrison County does a good job. The EMA office does a good job of publishing the information on where the flood areas are in Harrison County. Number two, have some institutional knowledge. Ask people that's been in your neighborhood. If you don't have an idea, ask them how they get information, number one. Number two, ask them, when was the last time it flooded in their area? And it may be an area that never floods, and then you're lucky. But get institutional knowledge from people that already know what the situation is.
You know, Pat, I know that you have definitely done a lot of structural fire damage and things as such, and that you're going through a lot of these disasters. How often, I mean, do y'all have contact with the insurance companies, or are they, because I know they're always trying to either lower the credit rating or increase the credit rating for customers and things as such. What do you have any interaction with insurance companies about, what goes on with fires and damage and disasters and things as such?
Somewhat. And my main deal with insurance companies it's the rating bureau, and the rating fire insurance rating. We have a very good fire rating in Harrison County for the most part. It's one of those things. We've done a lot of work, and we've been able to get the rating down from as high as a 10, which is the worst rating, down to a 6 and a 5 in some areas. So we work strongly to make sure that we do the things that has to be done to get that rating down. I work real closely with the insurance companies as far as investigating fires. What was the cause of it? Was it an arson? Was it an accidental fire? Doing those kind of things, getting that information and helping the insurance company get information. So we work closely with them on that.
Pat, now, what you just making a segue on this, Chief? What does the ratings? I mean, how, if you're going to talk to a local resident, are you able to make the ratings better? For the fire departments or anything as such? Do you have to have? Is it the time length for the emergency? How quick you guys get to an accident or emergency, or is it how many ladder trucks you have? Just tell me what would go into that.
All of the above. It's the response times. It's how quickly the dispatch answers the phone. It is the distance of a person's property from the fire station. It is the water supply that we have in Harrison County. The better the water supply, the better it is for the insurance companies, of course, because that's what puts fires out. So it's all of these things together are a part of figuring out what that rating is. And the rating bureau. The rating bureau is actually the ones that set the rate, and they're a quasi-state agency that comes down. In fact, this week the rating bureau was in Harrison County, and to show you how intense this is, we had to take the rating bureau to every fire station, and they opened every door on the fire truck and looked at the equipment we had and make sure that we had the proper equipment, the right amount of equipment, and it was in working condition. So they do not take this lightly. They look at it and they want a fire department to have the right stuff to do the things that they need to do. And that we work with the rating bureau to get them that information, and there's a lot of that we have to gather, and we are really intensive in our data gathering and doing reports so that information will go to the rating bureau.
Lightning, Chief, in these heavy thunderstorms, tornadoes like today often create fires. What's the first action one should take, to be able to, not necessarily you can't avoid lightning but when there's something that happens like a fire starts, what's the first action you would take or what you would recommend?
911. And that may sound funny. Of course, I'm going to call 911. You'd be surprised how many times people say, gee, I think we may have got hit by lightning. And then they will spend 15 to 20 minutes looking to see if they did get hit by lightning, because they may not smell any smoke or see anything. And then all of a sudden, the roof is on fire. The attic is on fire. They didn't see it up in the attic. They couldn't get up there and those kind of things. But they've wasted valuable time. If you think your home's been hit by lightning, call 911 and get the professionals out there to take a look and see what they can find and make sure that it's okay. So obviously, the less amount of time it takes for us to get there, the more we can save. Number two is have a smoke alarm system in your home. Have smoke alarms throughout your home. So many people are saved by smoke alarms. So many people, property is damaged less by smoke alarms. Have fire extinguishers and know how to use the fire extinguishers. You have a little fire. I've been told this many times, is that, it was just a tiny fire and I didn't think it could grow that quick, that big. And then it did. And now we've got 2 or 3 rooms on fire when they could have knocked it out with a fire extinguisher in just a minute. So having the fire extinguishers, having the smoke detectors, calling 911 early. Never second guess yourself. If you said, boy, I think I smell smoke, that smells kind of like smoke, then call. And you'll be thankful, and we'll be thankful if you do that.
Chief, final question, and this may not be a popular question. Can the Gulf Coast, the Mississippi Gulf Coast, withstand another Hurricane Katrina based on all the resources you guys have now?
I don't know about a popular question. I think it's a loaded question. It's, do I think that we could survive a Katrina? Yes, I do. We've survived Camille. We survived Betsy back in the day, and some people are not old enough to remember those. We've survived the 47 hurricane. I wasn't here in the 47 hurricane. Some people think I might have been, but I wasn't. But the point is we're resilient, and we're strong, and we're educated to those things that happen. Do we ever want to see another Katrina? Absolutely not. Absolutely, it would just be gut-wrenching to have to go through that again. But I don't care how many times we get hit, it's how many times we get up. It's how many times that we get back and say, yes, we're going to rebuild and we're going to redo it. Now, what we need to do is we really need to look at our building codes and say, okay, maybe we need to adapt the Florida building code, which is a much more stringent building code that's designed for hurricanes. It costs more money. Absolutely, it costs more money. It's more intense. There's a lot more problems with it. But after Ida, I was in Homa and down in Grand Bay, I think it was, Fushan, in that area. Grand Prairie, I think it is. Anyways, it was down on the coast, and actually on the barrier islands down there. And there were actual homes that did not lose everything and were not destroyed, sitting next to things that were a pile of debris.
Wow.
And we found out that those were built to the Florida standard, and they were able to withstand that storm. And I think that's something that has to be considered. That's probably not a popular thing because of the money that it would cost and what it does. But on the same token that's what saves homes and saves property. And that's something that we need to think about. Absolutely. And it's just like today, you can never take any storm lightly. This was a tropical storm wannabe. It was gonna be, it might have been. It went offshore and then came right back on shore. But look at the amount of destruction it's done, the amount of water that it's poured, the amount of rescues we've done. We're still out doing rescues this very minute. And we probably have 10 or 15 more families to rescue. We've rescued people out of trees. We've rescued people, stranded on a fence, hanging on for dear life in the floodwaters. We've taken many families that with their babies and their dogs and their animals and got them out of the danger. So that is from something that you can never trust weather and Mother Nature. You have to believe that the potential is so great for it to be bad, and you plan for that, and you get ready for it, and you have a go kit ready to grab in a minute, because the last thing that we need to be doing while we're fighting floodwaters and storms and lightning is have time for you to go through your house and decide what you're going to take and what you're not. It becomes a matter of get in the boat, we're gone. You coming with us or not? And if you have a plan and you have a go kit and you have your stuff ready to go, even in a fire, you grab that and you get out the door, you've got something with you. You're not left with, I don't have anything but the clothes on my back. So being prepared is so vitally important.
How do people contact you, Chief, for updated information or during natural disasters or anything that they need to get from the fire department?
we have a Facebook page, and then we're on the county website, and all of our numbers are there, and they can call my office anytime. The joke is that I've had the cell phone surgically implanted because it's on 24 hours a day, and I answer it if it's 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. And if you know me, you know I don't sleep. I'm 24. Anything that's going on, I'm out there and I'm available. And somebody just needs to give me a call, for good and bad. I can tell you that I get calls all the time. Somebody complaining about this, somebody complaining about that. And you know what? We don't walk on water. We make mistakes. We're human. We want to, we do things that we wish we had done better. But at the same time, what bothers me is I'll have somebody say, tell 10 other people about an experience they weren't happy with, and there's nothing I can do about that because I don't know anything about it. So if somebody has a problem or a complaint or a question, then all they got to do is call, and we will address it. We will take care of it. I can tell you this: the men and women of the Harrison County Fire Rescue are dedicated to the job. They're dedicated to serving Harrison County. They're dedicated to serving the public, the people that are out there, because we live here. Our families are here. We know everybody here. You know a fireman. If you think about it, you know somebody that's their son's a fireman, their cousin's a fireman, their brother's a fireman. You went to school with somebody that's now a fireman. We're an open book, and we want people to say when we're doing good, but we even want to know more when we're not living up to their expectations, so that we can do better. Absolutely. And you can get us real easy. Just call.
Well, Chief, I want you to know that I really appreciate all the work you guys do, and just like I told Jeff before, you definitely don't sleep, because I've called you before at 2 a.m. and you're absolutely providing me as much information as you can, and so I appreciate you.
United States Marine Inc. knows what it means to show up strong. Your grit and teamwork inspire us every day. At USMI, we cherish our family, and our family includes community and you. USMI builds the baddest boats with pride and coastal toughness.
If you are thinking about selling on your own, maybe ask Steph. If you would like to talk to Stephanie to help determine your next steps, call today at 228-563-0471, or call her at the office and ask for Steph at 228-452-4242. We gratefully appreciate you listening to this podcast. And Jeff, we thank you again. Definitely was a very informative information. And not only the stuff that we went through today, but just kind of an upkeep of what's going to happen, or what to do for preparation for things happening in the future.
Yeah, it was a lot of information, man. I mean, we were doing this in real time today. You were affected by it. I was affected by it. It was a lot going on. But, the guests that we had on today are experts in the subject, and they do a lot to help keep us safe. And we're super grateful for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We would want to thank, as always, our sponsors, the Beau Rivage Resort and Casino in Biloxi, Nine Toes Brewery in Pass Christian, O'Dwyer Realty Agent Stephanie Mankiewicz, Joseph Kelly, Attorney at Law, Coast Casual in Pass Christian, the Insurance Barn in Gulfport, the Mississippi Deep Sea Fishing Rodeo, July 4th weekend in Gulfport at Jones Park, and the U.S. Marine Inc., as always. And make sure you check us out on YouTube now under the Gazebo Gazette Productions. At least that's what my producer has told me, and that's what we're doing from now on. And you can follow us also on thegazebogazette.com, where the podcast will be posted sometime next week, as well as on facebook.com/The Real Gazebo Gazette, or on X as Gazebo Gazette as the handle. The Mudcat Report is available on all podcasts. Every single podcast you can do, anything with Apple products, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music, under the tag The Mudcat Report. Signing out, this is Hunter Dawkins. the host of the Mudcat Report. Now you know the rest of the local story. Good night.
Welcome to the Mudcat Report. Community news, politics, and culture with a local twist. Here's your host, owner and publisher of the Gazebo Gazette, Hunter Dawkins.